What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily Podcast powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Big weekend for Miami recruiting. Nothing actually happened, but their top cornerback target, Jaelen Waters, decommits from Florida. This is the Sefner Armwood 6'2", freak of a cornerback, plays for RAW Miami 7-on-7. He decommitted from the University of Florida following Will Harris's departure from the Florida Gators to the Miami Hurricanes staff. So top cornerback target decommits. Immediately gets crystal balls to the University of Miami. I don't do the crystal balls, but I do expect him to be a Miami Hurricane. Again, this is Miami's top cornerback target for 2026. Armwood, four-star teammate of signees Gerard Pringle and Kellen Wiley. So we'll be watching that one closely. You can see, look at this, the frame on this kid. We will be talking to his 7-on-7 coach, Jose Duasso, the founder of RAW 7-on-7, talking about him, Javari Flowers, Malachi Tony, Calvin Russell, all the great kids from his program, which is the premier 7-on-7 program in the country right now. Just won a big tournament out there in Battle, Las Vegas. First, I want to talk about some folks that are always premier, Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Pete, hop in here.
What's going on, D? Yeah, man. Great conversation with Coach Duasso. Even though I don't even know if he's going by coach anymore these days. He's
the founder. He's got a founder mindset.
Founder now. It's a different title every time we bring him on. But no, obviously Duasso's been a long time guest, maybe our longest guest of this
10
show.
years, I feel, at this time.
Yeah, definitely dating back to the OG podcast days when we were on SoundCloud pretty much primarily. But so he has a good sense of like what it's supposed to look like at certain levels. So always good to pick his brain, see what he's got. Obviously one of the most talented teams in the country. They're having a lot of success already early on this season with that tournament win. But it's a unique perspective with some of these guys. I was really interested to hear what he was saying about Javari Flowers, because that's a player of interest, obviously, for this current recruiting class, meaning like for this next football season, and the impact that guy could potentially have on special teams is huge, as Duasso was emphasizing.
Yeah, look, RAW Miami, the program's been good to Miami over the years. We can go back all the way to Camp Kitchens, DJ Ivy, guys like that, Wesley Bassant. But even just this past year, Bryce Fitzgerald, Amari Wallace, Malachi Tony, Ezekiel Marcelin. So these are names to keep an eye on, Canes fans. These going to talk about guys from 27, 28, the next classes that are the future 5-stars. Keep an eye on those names too, because those are the next, Calvin Russells that we'll be talking about a ton. First, we're talking about next generation. Make sure your next generation, your kids, your nephews, nieces, your daughters, whoever, are geared up with the latest Miami Hurricanes gear. Miami Hurricane Team Store, MiamiHTS.com. Physical location next to the Thesis Hotel. They got 30% off kids apparel. Go to the website. Go there now. Get your kid outfitted. Get them ready for what the summer, camps, football season, flag football season, baseball season, soccer, whatever's going on. Get them ready at MiamiHTS.com. Use promo code. You get 20% off your first item. And then you also have these other great deals, which are go even further with the 30% off for youth apparel. Look at that shirt. I'm going to get that baseball shirt for my son. But yeah, man, check out Miami Hurricane Team Store. It's official retail site of the University of Miami. So it's all going to the same pot. Talk about revenue sharing, keeping up with the Joneses. This is all the same pot. You get geared up with the best gear in America for the Miami Hurricanes, and you support the program. It's a win-win. Promo code INSIGHT20. All right. Without further ado, long interview, a lot of ground covered. Let's get to Coach Duasso.
All right. Joining the CanesInSight podcast now is one of our longest guests. Our goes way back 10 years on this podcast to the OG CanesInSight days. And that is Jose Duasso, founder of RAW 7-on-7, fresh off the team's victory out in Vegas. They won the Battle Vegas championship out there, as you guys see here in the photo. So Coach Duasso, congratulations to the program, the RAW program, which we know every year seems to grow even more and add more big time talent from all across the country, of course, based in South Florida down here. So that's always the heart and soul of the program. But we appreciate you joining us today, and congratulations on the recent win.
I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you for the congratulations, and thank you for having me as probably say top 3 longest running guests of the show.
For sure.
From doing it in back rooms at Black Market to my cousin's living room. We've definitely had a nice adventure from Miami Beach studios to Little Havana studios. So I've definitely checked off every geographical location that we can have as buddies here.
Yeah.
Look, you're seeing the guys from your program graduate from University of Miami, get to the NFL level. Cam Kitchens, I know you're out in Los Angeles this year to watch him play a couple times. DJ Ivy
was at that Bills game, so it was a lot of fun.
There you go. I know DJ Ivy with the Bengals, and we'll see more graduate here in the future. But
and CanesInsight's favorite, Josh Jobe, dominating the Seahawks this year.
There you go. So I know, look, this year, for those who don't know and are seeing Jose on the screen here, in the last class, you're talking about Ezekiel Marcelin, Amari Wallace, Bryce Fitzgerald, Malachi Toney, right? Just from the last year's RAW team at the University of Miami. So just some background for why we're interviewing this handsome gentleman right here. And of course, your program sends guys all across the country. It's right now probably the biggest collection of talent in 7-on-7 football, Georgia, Alabama. So you're not just dealing with Miami, you're dealing with all the top programs. And I know you don't talk about recruiting, like which players going where, because that's not really your job. Your job is to make sure they have this, flag 7-on-7 experience. But having dealt with so many DB coaches across the country, because of the fact that you have always, how many blue chip DBs do you have right now? Just DBs.
We signed last year alone. We signed 20 Power 5 prospects to college and 23 Division I athletes
on the whole team, right? So obviously,
and we carry usually 24. Yeah, we have a rotating door with about probably the last 6 roster spots, kids going on college visits and stuff. Probably had about 35 kids wear our jersey last year. And we do have underclassmen on the team that came back, like Jaelen Waters and Javari Flowers, who just recently reclassed up. But yeah, we signed 20 Power 5 guys. I know where you were going. The question is, what do I think of these 2 new DB coaches?
Oh, you didn't even let me ask. You've been on the show so many years. You already know what I'm going to ask.
Yeah, I already know.
Zach Etheridge, new cornerbacks coach for Miami from Auburn and Houston, and Will Harris from Florida.
So Etheridge, funny story, goes back with one of my kids, Demarion Williams, who I coached at Sunnyland in my first few years of coaching football. Miami native, moved to Atlanta late in high school, had a nice road to get to Division I football when JUCO wasn't recruited highly out of high school, and Etheridge gave him a chance. Now he's in the NFL and was a 4th-round draft pick out of Houston. And every single kid that I know that's come across Coach Etheridge speaks so highly of him. And I'll tell you this, you'd think most kids speak highly of their coaches. It's usually a 50-50. Kids either love or hate their coaches. Same with
I said Harris. The same thing. I said the same thing when we talked about him. And that I dealt with Auburn guys, when I was recruiting guys, and they said they really liked him. They were cool with him. And you said it best. They'll talk bad about him.
Strong bond with his players, it seems like, which is very important. I know we have a friend that doesn't find assistant coaches important, aka Sam. But in reality, I think you landed 2 coaches that, in my opinion, you should have arguably Miami's best DB recruiting class, either this year or next year. I can't see them not crushing the field. I think this is as strong as a DB room you've ever had coaching wise. You have 2 elite guys, and that's really hard to say. Sometimes it was one guy that was the elite recruiter while the other guy was more of a coach. I think you're going to see high-end results. I got to shout out my boy Banda. I think you'll find that safety room starting to get filled up like how Banda filled us out. And I just, like I said, only high praises for these 2 guys is what I'm hearing. As you've seen, Jaelen Waters is heating up with Miami. I think that was happening with or without Will Harris, and that could be a nail in the coffin for him there. I think he'll still play out the recruiting and see what other schools are interested here now. But I like Miami there.
Let me ask you about Jaelen Waters, because I went to the Battle of Miami, saw you out there. I was able to see Camden Portis for SFE, saw Jafari Flowers, for you guys, and saw a bunch of top corners out there. And I'm not going to ask you to pick, but I could tell you my opinion is that Waters was the most impressive DB I saw that weekend, just because of the length and the ability to move. And he seemed to play with a little bit of an edge. Saw some DJ Ivy, but seemed to have more confidence at the high school level, just kind of the way he moves and the way he attacks. So what do you see with Waters?
Yeah, you nailed it. His body frame is literally DJ Ivy out of high school, maybe a little bit more physically impressive in terms of just weight wise. But the long arms, the way he moves reminds me so much of DJ. I would say probably a lot more aggressive than DJ. I think where DJ has Waters is just in the school. Like DJ's brain is. I've said this. DJ is one of the smartest kids I've ever coached in my life. So it's hard to find DJ Ivies. He was the first early graduate in South Dade history. But Waters has good football IQ. He's physical. He's long. He could run. Like, I think my guys tweeted at Ferrelli, Polkway. We've been doing this a while. I've had Ellis Robinson. I've had Des Ricks. I've had Ben Hanks, all 3 or 5-star corners. If Jaelen Waters isn't a 5-star, then I'd honestly be shocked. He is everything you want in a corner, checks every single box. Long, could run. I think he's physical shit. Like he's gonna hit you. He can. I think with coaching, it'll get cleaned up. But like he's gonna jam the shit out of you and get a little too physical. He needs to clean that up. He'll get a little bit overly aggressive. But Waters is, in my opinion, as elite as they come. I've been doing this a while. Not saying he's as good as any of the guys I named, but passes the eye test, runs like them, in my opinion, as long as them, everything you want. He's got some of the longest arms I've ever seen. That picture right there that Pete has up, like, dude, that's a high school junior. That's a physically impressive kid.
And for those in the comments that, because I know people in the comments are like, oh, you're compared to Ivy. Ivy, had his ups and downs here at Miami. Ivy is coming off an ACL last year, played a lot for Cincinnati Bengals defense. He's probably going to be a starter there down the road at the
huge
NFL
play
level.
Against Njoku that he literally batted the ball up and was a huge INT, I want to say, on a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
It was a primetime game versus Cleveland. Ivy clamped Brock Bowers. You know me. I've gone to war for DJ with Miami's fan base, but
Waters, though, confidence wise, because DJ, we know his hurdle was
more of a mental hurdle for him in the confidence standpoint. I'd say Waters, it's like literally head above water, no pun intended. He is extremely confident and physical.
Another guy, Hose, that I saw that weekend, who I think, even like returner, I think really is where he could make an instant impact, but obviously a very talented corner as well. Javari Flowers, J-Rock, you've been talking about for a while, from Miami Northwestern, originally from Jackson, right? Miami Jackson.
No, he was at Miami Central, started as a freshman and sophomore, actually started for Miami Central in that state championship win versus Brandon Ennis and American Heritage. I'll say this, and I'll look at anybody in the face. Javari Flowers is better than any corner Miami signed in this class. And it's not even close. What he brings to the game kind of goes back to, remember when I would scream at you guys about how Daniel Harris was one of the best kept secrets in Dade County, beat Jalen Brown in the 100, ran a 10.6, confidence went up through the roof. When Javari ran that 10.4 last year, you found a new football player, as you saw. I think he scored on something like 90% of the time he touched the ball on special teams or offense. I think he's a guy that you could actually have a package for about 5 to 10 scripted plays to get him involved in offense if a college is smart. You can't. Speed kills. He's not like a true nickel that's that Dade County guy that you hear he's 5 foot. They tell you he's 5'11", but he's really 5'8". No, he is a true 5'11". So he's not the tallest, but he's by no means the shortest. I think a worst case scenario, he's an elite nickel. I think he could play the island. But like I said, I don't. There's not many schools in the country that sign better DBs than Jaelen Waters. Truthfully, I believe that if he stayed in the 26 class, I would have had 2 5-star corners this go around.
So, and Flowers, for those listening, his process is kind of like just starting, right? I mean, he's going to take, is your expectation?
He has to make a decision, I want to say, by the beginning of April.
Oh, I didn't know it was that quick. Okay.
Yeah. It's a pretty decent turnaround, or the end of April.
So he's enrolling in May then, like right after he graduates high school.
He'll be part of that summer class.
Okay, that's good, because remember, that's obviously this is from Miami's standpoint. You remember OJ Frederick came in at that time last year and he made huge strides. Right.
And Javari's played for a high level. I know Northwestern did a great job. Teddy Bridgewater.
I'm talking about from Miami's perspective, because remember, like if a kid's not there in spring, it's hard to.
He's got a high football IQ. Playing at Miami Central for 2 years, I know Coach Jube did a fabulous job at preparing players for the next level. I think, as we've seen with most Miami Central players. And then to get a little bit Teddy Bridgewater sprinkled on top before heading to college, I think that, like I said, you got to put all your chips into that Northwestern basket with the players coming out of there. And on these highlights, you're seeing Javari Flowers is a human highlight reel. And in my opinion, if Bill Belichick's making him the biggest priority of UNC right now, I think that should raise some flags for people here in a good sense. Like, Bill Belichick really wants this guy and going all out. Like, I know D-Money, you have your thoughts on Bill Belichick, but I feel like he knows what a football player looks like.
No doubt. This guy's electrifying. I mean, I think he'd be one of the best returners in the ACC day one, on top of
absolutely
everything else.
I've never seen a highlight with that many special teams. I said it the other day when we were talking about him. So
yeah, I got into an argument with someone. I was like, they're like, oh, because obviously everybody talks NIL now, and they're like, oh, is he worth what he's worth? I go, shit, as a returner, he's going to be the best player in the country. So right then and there, like, even his floor is higher than 95% of the kids you're paying these days.
So, go ahead, Pete.
No, I had one question on him. The reclassification, like a lot of people talk about when guys reclassify, like how old they are. Is this a guy who's like, this is what would be his true class?
Yes, this would be his true class. Like, and to that point, I would say 90% of these kids aren't in their true classes these days.
Yeah. So one guy that is on campus right now working out, and I'm hearing his recovery's ahead of schedule. Somebody who really brings a tool set that we've been missing as far as playing the game fast, IQ, instincts, and versatility. That's Amari Wallace from Central. You coached him at RAW. Obviously had that injury before Central season, which was really unfortunate, but it seems like he's on the road to recovery. What are you hearing about Amari Wallace, and what can you tell us about the player?
Amari Wallace, if Central was in the playoffs, had a good chance of lining up for Miami Central. That's how fast he recovered. I think people, granted, he had a gruesome injury, but he had no ligament damage. It was straight bone damage. In my opinion, that's the best thing. And Pete, your old job, you hear that's a sigh of relief when you're looking through the draft process, or even if it's one of your players in the NFL.
Bone heals, man. Bone heals. The ligament stuff really, it stays around and it lingers with you throughout your career.
If anything, it's just more of a mental block for him with the bone and the injury. If he were to have any setbacks of just more like PTSD of how he plants and stuff, but on a health, speed, all that, like, he should come back even stronger, because there was, like Pete said, there's no ligament damage. It's a sigh of relief when you hear it was strictly bone damage.
Jose, in terms of position, I know you compared Amari Wallace to Cam Kitchens in the past. Do you see him as a nickel, as a safety? How do you see his career playing out?
I would actually, watching Amari develop more over the years, he's probably a similar body frame to Cam, maybe a little bit more athletic looking. As much as I joke with Cam, he's the most athletic player, and I got that from his Rams coach. Best unathletic player he's ever seen in his life. But Amari's definitely more athletic than Cam. I would say very different player the more I watch him play. I would actually compare Amari's game closer. I wouldn't say like football IQ and all that, because Jaquan Johnson's one of the best that we've seen at that. But how he would come in and fill fill the run game a little bit stronger than Cam did. I think that's where we're gonna see some flashes in Amari Wallace. Like he's gonna come up and hit the shit out of you. And that I think that's something we've been missing. I'd actually probably put Amari's game closer in the nickel, like if Trajan actually had played nickel for us, in my opinion. Um, and I wouldn't say he's Trajan, but like how he jumps stuff, like he could have been an elite nickel. I'm saying Amari could be an elite nickel. Um, I think he could play that strong safety for us. Uh, and like I said, he's just a football player. The kid loves the game of football.
Two guys that you coached last year, one of them reclassed and is now already on campus at the University of Miami. The other one, Miami is really trying hard to get. Malachi Tony and Calvin Russell. I know they're buddies. When I went to watch you guys last year at OT7 in Tampa, they were together. What can you tell us about both those guys, starting with Malachi Tony?
Malachi is the Cam Kitchens of offense. And I'm saying that in terms of no one's going to outwork him. No outside field distractions. The guy lives in the facility, doesn't have time for other stuff. Is one of the hardest workers you'll ever meet. I truly believe we just had one of the greatest slots to ever play for us statistically, and the guy just got it done for us. I expect Malachi to have a stronger career in that slot for us if things work out for him. His high school stats are better than any. Like I'm big on production and high school film. We haven't truly seen a receiver like that with that hype, like coming out of Dade County. He had a amazing high school career and capped it off playing quarterback and looked incredible at quarterback. Like I know you even joked about like, damn, we got to set up some throwing packages for him. But like I said, he's just a football player. Like why I said Cam Kitchens, like you're going to get a tough, gritty, hard worker that is going to put us in a good position to win.
You know, Pete, it's a Duasso season when you hear the hyperbole. Never seen a receiver with hype like this out of Miami. We just literally had from Miami Gardens the number 1 player in the country in high school.
No.
Now the number 1 player in
I'm
the
not
country in
saying.
college.
Well, I meant to say slot. I'm sorry, like true slot, not Jeremiah Smith. Like you haven't. I feel like he's been our most hyped up wide receiver. I'm not Jeremiah Smith. He's our most hyped up receiver recruit that people I feel like are most excited for in a very long time.
Yeah, could be. I mean, you had JoJo Trader last year, but this, they call him Baby Jesus, right? That's the nickname.
I think the thing with Trader was that in people's eyes, it was like, oh, you're getting the second best one to Jeremiah Smith. So the perception was he wasn't as good as him. Not to say that he's not a special talent, and we're going to see it this year, I think. But I mean, I think the fact that it's out of a big program like Heritage too. I mean, the way it was with Trader out of Chaminade, but like.
Yeah, Heritage hasn't
man,
been the best of places to us recruiting wise for these top skill guys. Like,
it's been inconsistent. Yeah, it's been inconsistent without a doubt. Like you've missed out on a lot of their. You're right about that. So, you got Mark Fletcher a couple years ago, right? That was a good start for things. But no, I'm with you.
So, Jose, with the other guy we're talking about here. Obviously, much different package, much different skill set. Probably, honestly, total opposite in a lot of ways, right? Not as polished as a receiver, but the size, the length, the athleticism, multi-sport, all that stuff with Calvin Russell. So you haven't had him yet, right? Because of for this season, because of basketball, right?
Yeah, he's in basketball. Northwestern has a good chance to win states or at least to get to states. So I probably won't have him until OT7, which is I don't mind. I'd like to have him all year. It's not bad. It's always a good thing to have a 6'6" receiver on your roster. And coming up with probably the most confidence any kid could have. It kind of goes back to what I said about Javari Flowers. Getting coached by Teddy Bridgewater has probably been tremendous for these kids at Miami Northwestern. I think you saw it in CJ's game. His game took even a step up from last year. I'm so excited to get him in 7-on-7. And like you were saying, I'd probably say he's pretty polished, but he's not even scratched the surface of what he can be as a receiver. Watch him play basketball, and if he could really take a lot of those traits onto the football field, man, you have a very scary prospect in Calvin Russell. And I know Pete's a basketball guy and for sure has seen him hoop and is just like, what the heck?
Man, he's big, obviously, as a receiver, but like he's skinny. Like the way he moves is skinny. So like,
Yeah, he knows how to use his body well. Like it's something Tommy Schuler's taught me to look at receivers. It's like have a guy that could turn their belly button to the ball. It knows how to control their body and truly catch the ball. If your belly button's to the ball, you should come down with the ball most of the time.
You've had some pretty outstanding receivers that were a little bigger, right? You had Dallas Wilson last year, 5-star player, signed with Florida.
Oh no, Calvin's bigger than all these guys, like a couple inches. Like I know we're seeing the pictures of Dallas at Florida, and he looks like a freak show. He is. He's a solid 6'4". No, Calvin's 6'6".
Yeah.
And those basketball guys, man, he's probably gonna grow another inch.
Yeah, I would say 6'5", closer to 6'6", and we'll grow that other inch and be like a solid 6'6", like a true 6'6" receiver.
You know, Jose, I want to ask you, this is a guy's not a part of RAW Miami, but I know you played against him or watched him play. And he was someone, you know, from just talking, I know you were like, oh, you know, I'm not sure the size is going to be, that could be a question. But then seeing him this last tournament, I know he caught your attention, which is Darion Coleman from Jones, Orlando,
Yeah,
Miami
he
signee.
definitely grew a couple inches, which is good for him. Still a little light in the ass, but that's what a college weight room program is. Could definitely sling it. Would like to see it. And I think the longer I've got into this football game, I'll make a baseball references. It's a pitcher needs to know when to throw his pitches. A quarterback needs to know when to throw his fastball or his changeup. I think those are really the two pitches that the quarterback could have. And that's obviously throwing with a little bit more touch. I've liked the way that his game's developed over the years. Hopefully we get to see him this weekend. Unfortunately for Canes fans, hopefully we beat him. But Chop's a good friend of mine that runs that program, and like I said, I think they hit it with him. It's going to be some fun battles with him this year, and he's a talented quarterback.
Before we let you go, you always give us the young players. Russell was one of them back in the day. I know you talked about now I think he's going to be a 5-star player. It looks like. Who's a young player, meaning really just anybody that's not class of 26, so 27, 28, whatever it is, that has a name that could be relevant to Canes fans here in the future?
Oh man, we have a list. We were looking at when I was Booby Feaster reclassing. If everything works out the way that it should, we have the number 1, 2, 3, and 5 receiver in the country in the 27 class.
Oh wait, he's on your team now. When I saw you guys, I saw
Who?
with the Battle Miami, he was on a different team.
Which kid?
Booby
Booby
Feaster.
Feaster. He reclassed to the 26 class.
No, but he's on RAW. When I saw him, he was on a different team.
No, well, we're fighting for it, but probably not. But with the new rankings, Osani Gales out of IMG, he'll be playing with us now. He's the number 1 receiver in the country. Then you have Julius Jones, who will be playing some tournaments with us. You have Nick Lanier, and then a kid who's hurt in Damani Warren from Vegas. He's the number 3 receiver in the country, big body guy. And Nick Lanier is the number 5 receiver. So very excited, but truly on the young guys, man, I have a lot. I just named a whole bunch that are on our team or going to play for us. Amir Sears out of West Broward. I think I've been raving about him since the summer to you before you even stepped on a high school field. A legitimate 6'1", 6'2" as a 28. Is a two-way guy, as elite as they come on both sides of the ball. Everybody wants to be Travis Hunter these days. I feel like he's one kids that, I'm not saying he's Travis Hunter, but could play both ways if he really wanted to at some programs. But Amir Sears will be a 5-star. I'll bet that.
So Pete, pull up. I just sent it to you in the private chat. Pete, pull up the video. So Amir Sears, the guy's from Miami Gardens. So he went to West Broward. He was playing with.
He's
Josh
actually
Moore.
from Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
He's a Broward kid. He's at West Broward and had a great year this year. I want to say he's up to like 20, 30 offers already, and he hasn't even gone through a spring cycle.
This is the alma mater of Josh Moore, Miami signee. I don't know where West Broward's getting some of these guys. I never remember West Broward producing players.
Their OC is Mario Perez, who used to be the OC at American Heritage. Mario is a relentless recruiter. I know they added Kendall Charles to their staff for Miami Chaminade, so the head coach did a very good job adding guys that are pretty disgusting at recruiting.
I'm sorry. I had to. Are
Relentless
you? Yes. I'm sorry. It's great. It's great to hear high school coaches are relentless. I just have never heard a high school coach, described as a relentless recruiter. But it's important these days.
Yeah, no, dude, dude, you have kids making flyers for Little League football on commitments these days. This new
portal
age
one.
of parent is.
I blame people like myself, man, 10 years ago for being a part of this mess, man.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm literally seeing commitment letters for 7-year-olds right now to parks or like top threes. And I'm just like, where is this world going?
By the way, we're watching this. This is the guy you're talking about, Amir Sears, a true freshman. You compared him to like maybe a Travis Hunter. This guy's ridiculous. So I did not watch the film. I remember you telling me about
I take
him.
that back before Joel just tries to dunk on me for comparing him to Travis Hunter. But I would say it's Travis Hunter-esque on how he could play both sides of the ball.
I mean, this is a true freshman. This is pretty impressive stuff. I mean, is he? I hope he doesn't hate the Canes or anything like that. Is he someone?
No, the Canes were actually his first offer, which is a great story in its own. Called Kevin Beard and said, "Ellis, who's going to pull the trigger if or you? Who's going to be the first one?" And Coach Beard was awesome. But funny enough, like, man, this kid, it just 2 tournaments with us. The steps that he's taking from that first tournament to the second tournament, you could see that he has a special pedigree.
Man, you're not, if you're listening to the podcast in the car or something, you're not watching it. I mean, this guy actually does look like Travis Hunter. He's a true freshman, man. How big is he going to get?
Oh man, his dad's a big boy. His dad's like 6'3", 6'4", so I could see him putting on another inch or two and finishing off at a 6'2", 6'3" by the time it's all said and done. If he grows to 6'4", man, he's going to be in that DJ Pickett conversation.
Yeah.
And you think DB or receiver? You're still figuring it out. Like, what's he better for you guys right now?
If you had to put a gun to my head, and I know the kid really wants to be a two-way guy, so I pray and hope that he is dominant on both sides of the ball as time goes. But if gun to my head and I had to make one play for him to make a play, I'm putting him out on an island at corner.
And this guy can't drive, right? He's not showing up to your practices driving. This is
no, he is legitimately 15 years old.
Wow.
And he's of age. He's not a holdback.
Wow.
So that's why D-Money called him a true freshman.
Yeah, he is a true freshman. Yes, he is.
So, Pia, we got another one here. Let me send it to you. Another video that I wanted to share here, which is Nick Lanier, someone that you've been talking about for a minute.
I saw a video. I have a video. Forget the highlight. I'm going to pull up the video that South Florida 305 Sports posted of him eating fast food like 3 minutes before the game.
No, it's not fast food. Let me correct you there, Pete. He only eats Wendy's. That's it.
Yeah.
He has his biggie bag deal. My man, little Zach. You know Zach, Pete,
yeah.
Zach knows his order on lock, and we have a side order of Wendy's for him because I've never like Wendy's. Hopefully, if someone from Wendy's is watching this, get my boy an NIL deal because we spend so much money at Wendy's for that guy in a year. And then look, if he keeps playing the way he does, he could get his biggie bag and eat his cheeseburger and make game diving plays to win games for us. He is the definition of a Dade County dog. I would probably say he's just as good at safety than he is at receiver. He's just another Malachi Tony, straight up football player. 27, class of 27, wide receiver, top 5 in the country from Northwestern. So he's in the other side of Calvin Russell for those who are not how would you describe his game for those who haven't seen him? Football player, like balls in the air. He's going to make a play on it. He could create separation. I wouldn't be shocked if he's the number 1 guy on our board for that 27 class. He's of that, like, and I know he's younger, Amir Sears, like Nick has always been the best player in South Florida since he's been little. Just that classic South Florida Little League legend has gone to high school and is doing the same thing he did in Little League in high school. I think you saw him even playing defense there. Like I've had colleges come up to me and say, do we offer him at corner? And I was like, pretty sure he's trying to play a receiver at the next level. So that just shows you the type of play he saw. Fast foods, making plays, could get up there. He is an amazing football talent. I'm very lucky and blessed to kind of have the special players that I have around me this year, and how we've grown at Raw from my Immortals days to my Nightmares days. Every year, I feel like it's just a caliber of athletes getting better and better in our arsenal. And look, it not just me. Yes, granted, I've been the face of a lot of these programs, but I have a awesome team around me of guys who run our social media pages, incredible, to identifying talent, and my coaches. They all do a great job.
Can everybody in your team do a backflip? Every time I go to one of your games, these guys are backflipping all
Pretty
over the
much.
place.
If you go to the Raw page, we have a clip of our guy doing acrobats. We have a bunch of acrobats, according to my defensive coordinator, Keon Payne. We actually have a kid out of Dallas Skyline.
Former Canes, by the way, Keon Payne. Sorry.
Tyrone Creathers from Dallas Skyline. Texas has very strict recruiting rules, so he had to sit out his junior year because he transferred programs. And this kid might have a 40-inch plus vertical leap and has only 2 offers. And I'd like to come back to this podcast in about a month or 2 when I'm your guest again, when we're talking about just more recruits. And
more turning wins, right?
Yeah, more turning wins. I wouldn't be shocked that he has 20 plus offers. He's gonna blow up. Like, he is a freak show.
We will stay tuned. I mean, you do seem to exaggerate, but then you see these guys getting paid, 6 figures.
Yeah,
deep into 6
I
figures.
joke around our roster on a bad year is probably worth $10 million per year.
Crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
Well, so I might exaggerate a little, but the NIL dollars back my exaggeration.
Next time that we have you on, we will have some Wendy's, and then we're gonna watch you do a backflip like the rest of us.
Yes, I know. Dan would love to see me hit a backflip.
I want to see you sitting in that chair. You got to fix the lighting on your initial chair, that big hammock chair that you have in your house. I don't know, like the Maldives chair.
Yeah, my little Cessna I have outside. I like to call it my think tank. So I appreciate you guys for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Tell them where to support you, to check you out, support you guys.
Yeah, we actually, shockingly, I've always said it, but this year we should be launching a merchandise line. I know CanesInSight and the Canes fan base has always been big supporters of any program I've been a part of.
I like the shirt. It fits very well. It's a nice shirt.
Very appreciated.
Normal functions.
I appreciate it a lot how you guys have supported me over the years. Actually, I had Sala repping a Raw shirt last night because he did all our shirts for our tryout, and have Sala Sarita and Cox on the background. So I know Jim's a friend of CanesInSight. Jim's a friend of Raw Miami and always been a great supporter of us. So shout out to him, shout out to Dean, and shout out to our boy Cable and all the guys that have helped me over the years get where we're at, and believe in what Beyond the Goalpost is doing. Now we're hosting the Crib Classic down at Ransom, a 7-on-7 tournament that we gift the winner a $5,000 check, and hopefully it goes up next year, and a couple other things that we're working on. We did the Crib Classic Dade Broward All-Star game. We partnered with 305 Sports, and some kids got FCS offers from that game. We had college coaches there, so just trying to expand what we're doing in the community, not only Raw, but help South Florida football as much as possible.
And guys, look, this is the nonprofit organization Beyond Goalposts here.
Very grateful. Got our boy Alec DeGroza, Pete, involved, and he's really helped us just take this to the next level. Me, Joel, and our other partner Elijah, our other partner Rob, do a lot in the background for the nonprofit stuff, and Alex made our lives a lot easier.
I see you chilling with the mayor, getting keys to the city. I mean,
Vince Lago, shout out if you're in Coral Gables, vote for my boy.
Hey, we had this problem the other day, man. We didn't know if we could give political,
I think
we can. Let's shout him out.
I'm messing around.
Loyal
Vince Lago's a CanesInSight supporter,
so
we got to shout out Vince. But yeah, no, Vince is someone that believes in our nonprofit as well, and he's awesome. And man, we're just trying to make a difference in this community, not only from Raw, but to even the kids that are like you said, Dan. Every year you're like, oh, I think you exaggerate a little, and then I hear the NIL dollars and see what these kids could do on the field, and I'm like, okay, Duasso's onto something. But no, just from RAW, it's expanded into helping the community and helping these high schools, coaches and players from all programs.
Good luck this weekend, Jose. We'll bring you back soon. Appreciate you. Congrats on all the success. And yeah, man, it's what's the national championship? Is that going to be the one in Tampa, the OT7?
OT7 hasn't had a disclosed location yet. It's going to be the last weekend of June, which is the dead period. Very smart by them, just because we always ran into OV visits. Shout out to Coach Beard for calling me to make sure that he didn't book any wide receiver OVs during OT7 Nationals. So that just shows you the thoughtfulness of Miami. And but no, they changed it to the dead period. It'll be the last weekend of June. I'm hoping it's somewhere relatively close so I could have Dan pull up again, and I'm not embarrassed this year.
That's right. No, this is the year. So again, appreciate you. Good luck this weekend, and we'll see you soon.
All right, appreciate it. Appreciate you guys having me.
This an insight to the Canes, and you know we ain't playing no games. Joaquin said dominate, so that's what we do. Home of the legends and 7th floor crew. Down in Miami where hurricanes brew. You here for the rumors, we bring you the news. Cause it's all about the you. And nobody do it like CanesInSight. Nobody do it like CanesInSight. Nobody